Hey there, ho there. This is Nuts and Bolts, where we take a look behind the scenes of some of your favorite episodes of Anime Abandoned's past. Today, we're looking at the 150th episode, Elfen Lied, a series that my longtime viewers know I have quite a history with. And for some of my new time fans, they might not have known that once upon a time, during my early YouTube career, I abridged Elfen Lied. You can't see the episodes anymore. They have long since been taken off of YouTube, and after they were taken down, I didn't basically upload anything to YouTube for a good solid 3 or 4 years, and then I started uploading my episodes of Anime Abandoned, which were on Channel Awesome at the time, to YouTube, and that's basically where we are right now. So yeah, Elfin Lead and me have a long history.
The
For
world is better off.
Oh yeah, trust me, it is way better off. Even if the episodes weren't taken off of YouTube, I probably would have taken them off. No, I wouldn't have, because I'm always a big proponent of, if you do some work, you stick to, what you have done. I'm certainly not proud of certain episodes of Sage Reviews that I've done, but I haven't taken them off yet either. So yeah, I don't think I would have taken them off if it were up to me. But the rights holders, the rights holders just decided otherwise back in, I want to say, 2009. I want to guess. So yeah, if you missed that boat, well, you missed it permanently. But
Oh, this is awesome.
oh yes, it is. This was so last moment, but this was such a great time to shoot, even though even though it didn't look like it. We just basically gathered every single person we knew that was at Too Many Games to help us film this epic beatdown of me, this veritable blanket party by way of plastic bats. And I will say that of all the things that hurt that night, and there were a few things that hurt, the one that hurt the most was our very dear title card artist, Erin Frost's baseball bat hits, because she actually just went hog wild with the bat. She's the one wielding the pink bat, as you can see. And if you look closely, you notice that that bat was being bent in half. She was swinging it that hard. And what that did was it created a buggy whip motion. So she was whipping me with that bat. And that really, I love that shot too. But yeah, she was just wailing on me, and that hurt way worse than the pool cue hit that's coming up right here. But if you've seen the episode, and shame on you if you're watching the commentary of the episode before you've seen the episode, then you know very well that this hit was genuine, and people were just freaking out before. It's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, hope nothing goes wrong, and well, everything went right except for the fact that where we gimmicked the pool cue, it didn't break. So I just basically broke a pool cue over my shoulder, legit, no gimmick, no nothing. I was actually kind of proud of myself for finding that out.
Yeah, and through the laughter and the worry, it's like, oh, so that happened, and Wooly, being the best sport in the world and being the nicest human being you'll ever meet, he felt so bad.
I know, like, that's, if it wasn't for the fact that he was Canadian, you would have suspected him as Canadian. But now that you know that he is, it's just like, oh, okay, of course he's apologetic. But like, I tried to, I tried to put him at ease as best I can. It's like, dude, it looks way worse than it feels, believe me. And everyone was so just beside themselves, thinking that it was going to bruise over, and it really didn't actually. Like I said, Aaron Frost's bat hits bruised, not the pool cue. Uh,
And thank you to the hotel for letting us use their mini conference room for that shot.
yeah, we were worried that we weren't even going to be able to shoot it because there wasn't a space big enough to house close to a dozen people to film an assault. But we were so careful not to disturb anything, and we were worried that the pool cue hit would cause too much wooden shrapnel and it would damage the room. So what we did was that we kind of had people surrounding Wooly off camera in case shrapnel did fly. We figured that it was better that a person take some wooden shrapnel than an expensive hotel rooms.
Yeah, because there was a TV in there and really nice lamps, and we're just like, oh, okay, just take pictures of the room, and we're just gonna move shit and pray really hard.
It's like, if one, it was sort of like a Secret Service situation. If you see wooden shrapnel, sacrifice your body, because god damn it, it's a hotel.
All for just the most ridiculous last minute shot of like, let's go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of wiffle bats.
Yeah, the night before was it about? No, it was 2 nights before. We you took me out on the town on Philadelphia, and you showed me where you frequent, and it was actually nice being able to set foot in Philadelphia for the first time. Seeing our the city of brotherly love. Try saying that sincerely, but seeing well, we're seeing a lot of what Pennsylvania had to offer. And some of the drives through the historical sites. We drove through Valley Forge, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we ended up driving through Valley Forge.
Yeah, that was a very very beautiful drive, and doing it in your T-top to 1991 Trans Am was that much sweeter. But we went to the Walmart a few nights before, and we found the pool cues, and found that there was these cheap pool cues for like $10, and we were both wondering like, could you take a hit from this? And I felt like, yeah, I've taken bigger bumps just playing backyard wrestling with my friends. So, oh, some of the horror stories I could tell you on that one. Jesus fuck. There was a reason why I wasn't allowed to go back to his house for like 5 months.
I don't know. I don't want to know. So it all amounted to a really fun shot for the 150th episode, where it's like, hey, look, a bunch of cameos, people you know, people you don't know, and Bennett gets beat up with a bunch of bats.
Yeah. Too bad Gabe wasn't involved. Although, maybe it was for the best because Gabe's kind of like Charlie Brown. If he wins, he kind of loses. But I was really let down by the fact that we couldn't get Doug in for the fight because we wanted to, but he was too busy being wrapped up in other people's shoots, I believe. So, c'est la vie.
Yeah. So Elfen Lied.
Yes, yes. To the anime at hand. Yeah, I did abridge it once upon a time ago, mainly because I wondered could I do it, and I was kind of bored between like it was the summer that I graduated high school, so it was sort of like I guess I'm a few months out from going out to college, so I just decided, let's fuck around with this, see what I could do. And anyone can tell you, I'm not a good voice actor. I don't have a great breadth of range. I really can't look at anyone else's writing besides my own and be able to actively emote from it. So a project in which I do 95% of the voices on a mostly female cast, it was like if I'm surprised it went past the initial idea phase. Then again, when you're 18, you don't really have any other impetus to do something than just to do it. So I wound up doing it, and I mean, I don't regret having done it because I met a lot of cool people through having done it. That's how I met Scott Kaiser Neko, and just meeting him through this made making it that much worth it. That, and I also learned a lot about editing through making these episodes. So even though the work itself doesn't have much merit, I consider it a very worthy process of mine looking back on it. But the anime itself, I actually cut a lot of flack for trying to abridge it in the first place because people having considered it like sacred ground almost. Like it's so beautifully tragic. How dare you try and make fun of it? And guys, it really isn't. It's it's really not. I mean, it's dramatic, it's cheesy, but uh it's not great. Like my feelings of Elfen Lied were basically put down on paper for the review. It's that there was too many good things and too many bad things for it to be good or bad. It, it's this weird sort of middle ground that it managed to achieve, and I don't think any other anime has since. It's like this perfect balance of every good thing it does a terrible thing, and they just sort of balance each other out.
Yeah, and I didn't watch it until years later. Like, there's always going to be that defense of whatever everybody likes just because it comes to them at a more malleable or permeable time in their brains.
Mm.
But for me, I didn't watch it until much, much, much later. And it came down on the side of anime that I love but never need to see again.
Uh, I would say that I can't bring myself to love it because it doesn't speak to me like other anime that I've loved and are also flawed in their own ways. Like I felt that Elfen Lied spoke to a type of viewer that is sadly all too common in today's society, just like the maladjusted youth. Just it just feels like everyone is against you in your life and you're on your own. So they could relate to Lucy very much, where it feels like you're just trying to live your life, and then everyone else is trying to get you. So so there's that fantasy aspect to it, which I think we've all had that been all that teenage phase. It's just like fuck this, fuck everything.
Yeah, and we didn't find ourselves questioning why people like it so much. Like I like it, but there are people who like fucking like it.
Oh yeah.
And like one of the bigger and more important things about a lot of the anime that we review is that at no point ever will we point blank say, why do you like this? Um, like we try to find the place, we try to find ourselves in a place where, we get through and we know that, like this is considered to be, the seminal classic of this group, or this is held in high regard for these reasons, like this came before everything else just like it. This came in a time when the pool itself was kind of puddle thin. You know, Akira, Streamline,
Yeah.
like it's it just we will never, and we've said it before, like we'll never just point blank go like this is bad and you are bad for liking it.
No, no, that's never been in a stated agenda of the show. Although I have gotten a few emails over animes that I have, uh, quote unquote, trash talked, and they took it as a grievous insult. And sometimes over the most mundane anime like Venus Wars. Yeah, somebody give me a tongue lashing for that one. Sent it
Yeah,
to me via email,
yeah, and
which
it just happens at random, which all right, fine, because people internalize the things that they like, and it becomes a part of their overall general identity, so it feels as though like I am not just attacking this thing you like, I'm attacking you, when it's not even an attack, it's just us not opening an episode with Ultra and then fade into Bennett and he just goes, this is awesome, credits.
I don't get to do that very often. I don't get to gush about an anime that I love very often, mainly because it just kind of makes for a boring episode. Like this never-ending praise and like talking about how things are good can be constructive, certainly, but it doesn't exactly lead to entertainment.
Yeah,
As
like
opposed to
there are people who are complaining. There are people who complain about the fact that we don't do new stuff. There are people who complain about the fact that we don't always hit tent poles. There are people, because we see all the comments. And the thing is that sometimes, a lot of the times, we are seriously just throwing darts at a board to go like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it it can either be surprisingly bad and easily made funny, or surprisingly good and made into a really good episode, or even better, when we have that hard left turn where it's like, not only is this good, everyone should watch this, and it's surprising that not as many people have, like Video Girl Eye, let's say.
yeah, like those are some of my favorite episodes. Like Video Girl Eye and Memories are some of my favorite episodes I've ever done. Mainly because I felt like I've used the show in the best way possible to champion a show that should have been championed at the time.
Yeah,
And
but
like, oh, go ahead.
but everyone's allowed to like the things that they like, and like, but the thing is that it still is a review show, so we have to sit there and watch it and just go like, all right, well, if every single episode of Anime Abandon is just this is awesome, credits, then it's not going to make for a very good run of episodes, because we do tent poles like Elfen Lied, as kind of like the treat episodes. Like, okay, so here's all this crap that was sitting in the bargain bin, like hyper dolls, and and like we'll go through a shit ton of those, and then like, and it's not even at milestone episodes like the 25 to 50, the 75 and the 100, but like we will steer towards tent poles just to go like, all right, well, how does this hold up now? Like how do the dubbing standards and the animation standards and the storytelling standards of then hold up now? Is this a forever classic, or was it just considered to be uh kind of like like I could see this as being a classic someday, and then it just turned out that it aged like shit.
And I think Elfen Lied falls into the latter category. It was considered a classic at the time because then, even and now, but then it was anime was a young person's game, and this skewed heavily towards the youthful audience. Like every person I've ever known who ever loved this series saw it when they were like teenagers. Like those who love it today loved it as teenagers, and luckily, I surround myself with people who are able to think critically about the things they like, and so when I talk about my piece on Elfen Lied, they say, yeah, it's emotionally manipulative. Yeah, the animation's really wonky, and yes, it feels like it's going on its back foot about whatever message it's trying to convey, but they just love it because they have that nostalgic feeling for it. And that's a healthy attitude. I think that's the healthiest attitude you can come away with watching something as emotionally charged, let's put it lightly, as Elfen Lied, because everything that Elfen Lied does, they do it at 100. There's no half-assing anything emotionally from Elfen Lied. The only reason why some of the happy scenes are as happy is because they know that'll make the sadder scenes sad, and vice versa. Now, this part of the anime I've always struggled with. I want struggled with as far as what the anime intends to convey, as far as like, are you born evil or are you raised evil? Because they clearly set it up that Diclonius are at complete odds with humans. I neglected to include a scene where professor scientist professor scientist, but the son of the director took I believe the chief aside and said, "Look, see, like the Diclonius always kill their parents, but they leave pets alone. Even if pets bit them, they'd never harm them. So they're clearly out to get humans." Okay, that kind of well, that doesn't make it. That just kind of closes the moral ambiguity now, doesn't it? Like if they're just innately killers of humanity, and it just so happens that Nana was, I guess, a mutant in that regard because she did was like people, which is why I think she was my favorite character of the show, because she went against type that the show was so heavily dead set on setting up. Like not only like was she a Diclonius that liked people, she still liked people after they treated her like shit for who knows how long. So it felt like, okay, is she going to figure into the theme of good versus evil, or is she just going to be another extraneous side character that the enemy is not going to do anything with? Oh, you're not going to do anything with her. Thank you for that one.
Yeah, it's just because the whole natural predator angle, like humans don't have a natural predator until they do. Like that, like that shit just never works out in storytelling.
No, it
Like,
doesn't.
like this fucking blue gender.
No, any time I've ever seen like the Earth is rejecting humanity plotline, I just my eyes literally pop out of their skulls. They're rolling so hard.
Like it never works, and it just never works because no matter how you spin it, it's like you could say that like a kitten is the natural predator of humanity. Just all of the sudden, just like kittens have just ridiculous amounts of strength, and they like become gigantic fucking super kittens when they become 5 minutes old. But it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna
As
work because one, why did the Earth wait so long? Two, why did Gaia choose this way in which to exterminate humanity? You
oh,
know,
you love this reference.
oh yeah, I was adamant about the we're gonna need another Timmy.
I wrote that in just for you, man.
Uh, but yeah, like
But
that storytelling device of like the natural predator of humanity, even if it's not explicitly stated, just never ever works because like what's the end game of the natural predator of humanity? Is it to thin the numbers? Is it to exterminate all of humanity? In either case, what's next? What happens after that?
that's what makes the Diclonius plotline so fucking stupid. It's because if they can't reproduce by themselves, as they made fairly certain they can't do it by themselves, they have to use they have to use humanity as a sort of surrogate mother in order to get more Diclonius. Then they're kind of a failed species. One, why would you want to wipe out humanity? They're the only ways you can reproduce. And two, how are you going to survive at all if you need another species to reproduce? It's the natural selection. Darwin is the enemy of these kinds of plots.
Yep.
Yep. And you want to talk about things that are hard to talk about. All right. So a common criticism I got about this episode, and a lot of people liked it, but the common criticism was you reviewed this, but not Violence Jack. To which I only have one response to that. as bad as Elfen Lied is, and it is really really bad, at least there's moments where there's not that. Whereas Violence Jack is nothing but that. There is no such thing as happiness in Violence Jack. Happiness does exist here in Elfen Lied, momentarily, but it does. I could talk about other things about Elfen Lied besides the child killing and the child sexual assault and just the child everything. Violence Jack, there, all you can do is talk about that.
Yeah, like there are times when Elfen Lied comes up for air and it's like, oh, it's just a goofy comedy again, and that's just kind of used to juxtapose the insane amount of fucking dread level hyper violence. But at the very least, it's not something that is so obsessed with, trying to make people bleed that all it does is make people bleed.
Mm.
And that's really the thing, is that like nothing that we can, like the worst things that we've ever seen, ever reviewed, like Genocyber, Elfenlied, just MD Geist, like all these things with high body counts and like blood is counted by the fucking gallon, just the most nano breaker of shows, and still they all have those moments where it's just like, all right, let's just pump the brakes for a second and do something else. And like keep having to reiterate, the reason why we didn't do Violence Jack is because it never hits the brakes on that ever. It
Which it,
is like it is just like the worst. Like I'm just you know once upon a time, Casino Royale was not held up as like the greatest Bond story ever. It was held up as like a terrible misogynist power fantasy of a deranged man. Now, imagine if that opinion never changed because, like sensibilities didn't change. But the thing is that like we have all these years to look through and back on Violence Jack and on all the hyper violent anime of the time and since. And we can still go, nope, this is still terrible.
like as a people who consume culture, you have to reserve the right to say like all art is created from all art is created from a need to create. That doesn't mean that you people aren't accountable for what they create. So
Yeah,
for
and
violence,
like even if that's just, the downward spiral of a creator where it's just like this, like like and cutie honey is this level of insane, and then devilman becomes this level of insane, but then we finally drill all the way down till we hit bedrock, and it's like, okay, well, it's up to you as to whether or not you're going to release that into the world, and it did.
not only was it also got an English release, full
Yeah,
dub and everything. That still boggles me.
thanks critical mass.
Thanks, manga.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so but that's
This,
why
yeah,
that's generally the reason why.
yeah. But this scene in the anime always got me to crack up because I just couldn't believe the amount of forcedness about that whole setup. She literally coughed up blood, having died giving birth to his daughter.
But
No bed.
she didn't have the anime mom haircut.
No,
that
she
that
didn't.
normal trope of the anime mom haircut where it's like you can just stare straight at a character and go, oh, your days are numbered.
Like that kind of curtain haircut with the hair tucked back.
With the hair tucked back and like just like the single long big ponytail over the shoulder. Like, yeah, no, didn't
Like
have
if
that.
her, like if either one of these characters just threw their ponytail overneath the shoulder,
Hmm.
overneath, yeah. Uh, you gotta love tropes sometimes. That I'm still confused as to what was the end game of the Chiefs. Like what he wanted to make more Diclonius, so he's going to kill off the one Diclonius that can reproduce on her own. And if he wanted to make more Diclonius, why didn't he make more Diclonius with Lucy? Like I said, evil thing to do, but he's an evil bastard. That would be a thing that evil bastards do.
I don't know. And is it just that way in the dub? Is it that way in the original Japanese? Is it just badly fucking written?
I mean, it's badly written. I looked at the subtitle version. It's not like they've taken much liberty with the dub. In fact, I feel like the dub is pretty much transliterated from the script here. Only changed just so you could match the lip flaps whenever there was a character on screen talking. which is also why a lot of the dub actors here feel very wooden, I suppose is the right word. Like ADV has never been stellar as far as voice directing is concerned, and this is them at their least tryingest, I suppose. I mean, it's not the worst dub they ever produced, nor is it even the most laziest, but it's definitely the most unenthused. Except when they decide, like they just haul ass and decide, hey, we need to step up our game. There's heavy shit going on screen, but a lot of these actors really can't pull it off. The guy who plays Coda is kind of a he just sounds like a complete twerp, and that's who he is as a character. But that doesn't make but it just kind of bleeds over into its performance, and that bleed over to his performance, and it just sounds so unlistenable. Like that time, like in the I show it in the review where he has Lucy in his arms and he's talking about how much he loved that little girl he met when he was a boy, but it sounds so it sounded like a 15-year-old reciting, like reciting drama. His voice is cracking way too much. He sounds so somberly pathetic. Like you don't feel happy that he's or you don't feel sad that he's finally, letting the girl he met know about how he felt. You just kind of feel embarrassed by the guy just going to the mat the way he did.
Yeah, it's not a dub that you come away with going like, and this is one of the greats. Like it's just another one of those dubs that just happens in the middle ground of like, well, this isn't making the perception of everything worse, and that's the best we can ask for, I guess.
Mid 2000s ADV, could be worse, I suppose. But I will say that of all the things Elfen Lied does right, as far as like their ability to establish mood through setting, like right now, even though there not a lot of animation is going on, you do have that serene feeling that's supposed to contextualize the violence that's going to happen throughout the series. That and the intro in the first episode might very well be one of the greatest intros to a first episode in anime television history. I can't think of one that had such a strong and lasting and, quite frankly, appropriate impact that like that first scene has. Unfortunately, a lot of the logistics behind the opening scene falls to the wayside once you put any modicum of thought into what is going on. Like, why the hell did the son of the chief decide now is the perfect time to release to release Lucy out into the world? That's never that never goes on. Nor did they actually really go into why the chief's son decided to disobey his father and try to steal Lucy for himself.
Yeah, and time can't even be cited as an issue because I mean this series goes on for a good healthy amount of episodes.
It goes for 13 episodes, including an OVA. And the OVA, when I initially saw Elfen Lied, I didn't have the OVA. I actually had a bootlegged copy of it given to me by my friend Gavin, and he didn't know it was a bootleg. He just saw like an entire television series for like $30, so he just jumped on it. Didn't give two corn cobs of a shit whether or not that was real or not. So, geez, I hate it. I hate that some of my library is bootlegged, pirated bootlegs. I try so hard to avoid that shit. But when you order something from Amazon and you just wind up with yep, that was burned to a DVD-R.
Yeah, because we always, want to make sure that we have a physical copy to show you that's the real copy so that you know what to look for. And that's also why it is that it's taken us so long to even get hold of Gundam
Or JoJo's.
or
Jeez.
JoJo. Yeah.
Dude, like JoJo is a nightmare and a half. Good luck trying to get volumes 4, 5, and 6. I mean, 5 and 6 are havable. Volume 4 is like I've seen those go up for like $1,000. God, these bootlegs. These bloopers, rather. I wish that I did more like out and about filming with a multitude of people, because we always seem to have a good time when we have more than just me and Gabe behind the camera. If there's one thing I do miss about like these big filming projects that I used to do with Channel Awesome, is that I miss video making as a community event. Like you and your friends bullshit around, you talk to each other, you have lunch, you have a good time, and you work really really hard to entertain people, and hopefully they find it nearly as entertaining as you find making it.
Yeah, because it's always a good time. You know, you never stop rolling the camera. You learn that early. Because then you get totally awesome shots like Taka getting busted in his face.
I was so. And it happened with Erin too. Like Erin was so concerned that she fat noed Taka, never realizing that she was giving me a welt the size of a golf ball on my arm.
Yeah, but see, that's the difference, is that Taka's pretty.
Oh,
That's
damn
what
it!
it is that everyone dropped what they're doing concerned for Taka because it's like, no, he's so pretty, we can't ruin that.
That's the one thing about my body. It's not very beautiful, but it is a perfect canvas for pain.
Oh man. Oh, that just never gets tired.
No, it doesn't. I sent the picture of that to Wooly on Twitter. Oh, he looks so happy. This is where we this you were fetched with the camera to shoot this particular bit because was it yeah, it was Taka who just discovered, hey,
Yeah, he just pulls me over really quick. He's like, Mark, you need to come over here really quick. You need to see this. I was like, oh, okay.
meanwhile, Lewis was so dead set on getting me to apply ice to my back, even though like I think when people hear someone say something along the lines of "it doesn't hurt, leave me alone, I'm fine," they think that they're trying to be Mr. Tough Guy and say like, "No, I don't need no pussy help." But in my situation, I was like, I am not so tough as to say like as try to put on a tough act. If I need help, I will ask for fucking help. So when I say like I'm perfectly fine, you don't need to do all this, I really truly mean it. But we're coming towards the end right now. Thank you all for joining us on Nuts and Bolts. One more for the month. Take care.